In this tutorial, I'll show you how to use BeeRef, which is a really great free open source reference image program. Now, if you've heard of the program PureRef, BeeRef is very similar to PureRef, so you can basically create a custom reference board, and you can organize the images and then save that as a file, and then come back to it as you're working on projects. But unlike PureRef, BeeRef is completely free and open source. So on my main YouTube channel, ryankingart, I create Blender 3D tutorials, and I use BeeRef all the time for my art projects, like doing Blender 3D modeling, also sculpting and drawing. So I'm first going to show you how to install BeeRef. So on BeeRef's website, I'm just going to click on the download button. And that's going to take me to the GitHub page. So now what I'm going to do is scroll down here to the bottom, and you're going to need to download this for whatever operating system you're using. I'm using the Linux Mint operating system, so I'm going to download the app image version. And as you can see, the program hasn't actually gotten any updates for a little while, so it would be pretty cool to get some new updates and features added to this program. Now, I have very little experience with Windows and Mac, so I can't actually show you how to install it on Windows and Mac. I'm going to show you how I install the app image as a program on Linux Mint. So what you want to do is just take the app image that you've downloaded and you want to put it somewhere on your computer where you want to store it long term. So maybe on your desktop, have a folder called programs, and then you can add your different programs. For this example, I'll just leave it in my downloads. Now I also want to download the logo so that I can add it as the image when I'm installing it. So on the main website, I'm going to just right click and click on Open Image to New Tab. So here's the image, so I'll just right click and just save as image. And I'll just call this BeeRef logo and save it to my downloads. So I now have the logo and the app image. Now if I just click on the app image, it's not actually going to open. So what I have to do is right click, and I need to click on properties. Then what I need to do is go to permissions, and then I need to click on the allow executing file as a program and then close this. So now when I double click on this to open, it's going to open up BeeRef. And you can see it opened it up right here, so I can just drag this out to make it bigger, but this isn't really actually installed as a program. I want to install it as a program so it's in my hotbar. So I'm just going to close BeeRef. What I'm going to do is go here to Linux Mint, and I'm going to right click on this little menu right here. And then I'm going to click on configure. Then when I open this up, I'm going to go to menu, and then I'm going to click on the open the menu editor button. So now you can see we've opened up this main menu here, and you can see there's different programs. What I'm going to do is go to graphics, click here on graphics, and then I'm going to click on new item to basically make our own custom program. So now here in the name, I can just call this BeeRef, and then we can click on the icon here to actually set an image. So I'll click on that, then I'm going to click on browse. Then I'll go to my downloads and add the BeeRef logo. So just double click on the logo and click on select. So now we have the name and the logo, but we need a command. So we're going to click on browse again. So then we're going to go back to our downloads or wherever you have the program, and you can see here's the BeeRef app image. So I'm just going to click on OK, just add that in. So we've now basically created our own custom program, and when we opened up, it's going to open up that app image. So I'm just going to click on OK. And you can see now here it is. What I did is just add the number 1 because I already have it installed, but you can see here it is, the other BeeRef. So now what I can do is just click on close and then just close this. So now if I click here on the menu bar, you can see there it is, BeeRef. So I can click on that and it's going to open it up. You can see here it is. And I can just make it bigger. So now what I can do is start to drag and drop in images, so I can just drop in images from my file browser. Now if I want to save the BeeRef reference board, I can either right click and then I can go here to File and then Save, or I can just press Ctrl S. So I'll hit Ctrl S. And I can just go to my Downloads folder. I can just save this as Nature Refs. So Nature Refs as a BeeRef file, and then just click on Save As. So now I can just hit Ctrl S to save the project and then just close it. So now you can see we have this naturefs.b. Now if you double click on this to try to open it, it's not going to actually open up with BeeRef. So what you need to do is tell Linux Mint that any program that ends in the .b, that program needs to be opened with this app image. So what you want to do is right click on the BeeRef file, and you want to click on Properties, and then what you want to do is click on Open With. Then right here you want to add a custom command. So we're going to click on this file icon. And then what you want to do is you want to take the BeeRef app image and you want to drag and drop it here into the custom application, then click on open. Then the last thing that you want to do is you want to click on set as default. So that way this BeeRef app image will be the default application, and then I can close this. That way, whenever I go back here to a project and I just want to open up this reference board, I can just double click on it and it's going to open up with that app image. So here it is. And for some reason it opens up really small. I don't know why that sometimes happens, but I can just open it up here. I can also just drag it to the top here so it becomes full screen. So that's how I install BeeRef on Linux Mint. It's pretty easy to install and it's great for installing custom programs. It's also how I install Krita and Blender and some other app image programs. So I'm now going to show you how to use BeeRef. So what you can do is you can just locate to a folder where you have some different images. So I've downloaded some images from Pixabay of some nature. So what I can do is just drag all these images, just select all of them, and then I can just drag and drop them into BeeRef. And now it's just going to load the images. Now, unlike the program BeeRef, BeeRef won't allow you to drag and drop images from the internet. So you do have to download the image to a file on your computer before you drag and drop it into BeeRef. That would be a pretty nice feature. It'd be cool if we could get that in a future update where you could just drag images directly from your internet browser like Firefox and just drag and drop it into BeeRef. Now, if you want to pan around your images, you can just click down with the middle mouse wheel and pan around. And then if you want to zoom in and out, you can just use your scroll wheel. So pretty basic. Now you can of course select the images, that's pretty easy, and moving the images is pretty simple. You can just drag it around, and then what you can also do is move your mouse here in the corner and you can resize the image, so very straightforward and intuitive. Now you can also click right here on the sides of the image, and that's basically going to mirror it. So if you click here, you can see it's going to mirror the image, so that could definitely be useful for, sculpting or drawing, or if you just want to see something mirrored. And then if you move your mouse like right up here, you can also rotate the images. So I can just kind of click right here and you can see it turns into like a rotating arrow, and I can rotate the images. Now, if you want to reset all of the values, what you can do is just click on the image and then hit the R key. So the R key is going to just reset the scale and the rotation. Now, if you have some images selected and you just right click, you can see there's some different settings like the file settings, the edit settings. So you can definitely look through these if you're looking for a specific setting, but I'm going to show you just the main settings and the main shortcuts that I like to use. So of course you can save the project just by hitting Control S, and it's going to save that project. And it's taking longer to save because I just added in all those images. But now that it's saved, I'll just hit Control S again, and it's going to save much faster. Now what you can also do is you can just click and drag in the gray area, and if you click and drag in the gray area, you can select multiple images. So I can select all of these and I can move them around, and then I can do like transforms with all of them at once, so I could like mirror all of them, and I can just move them all around. So it's really nice for creating a custom reference board. Now another really useful setting that I like to do is I like to normalize the size so that they're all the same size, because like if the resolution is different, then the size is going to be different. You can see this is a lower resolution image, so it's really small, but then these other images are really big. So what I'm going to do is click and drag, or you can press Control A to select all the images. Now what I'm going to do is press Shift S. So Shift S is going to normalize the size. Then what I can do is I can press Shift O. So Shift O is going to make it optimal. So basically if I just right click and then go down here to normalize, you can see we're just normalizing the size, and then you can choose to arrange, and I'm arranging it by optimal. So really useful. So if everything's kind of moved around and the scale is messed up, just hit Control A to select everything, and then Shift S to normalize the size, and then Shift O to arrange by optimal. And that's really useful for quickly organizing your reference board. Now another really useful feature, which is especially useful for if you're doing like a drawing or a painting, is you can press the G key with an image selected, and that's going to make it grayscale. So this could definitely be useful for like digital painting if you just want to see the values without the color, or it could definitely be useful for drawing. Now what you can also do is hit the V key, which is going to flip the image vertically, and you can press the H key, which is going to flip it horizontally. And I already mentioned this, but you can hit Control A to select all the images. And then if you want to delete any images, just click on the image and just hit the delete key. So pretty basic. You can just delete any images you don't want. Now there's also a really useful feature to sample the color. So let's say that I want to like sample this color and see what the hex code is. What I can do is just click the S key, and when you click the S key, it's basically going to add an eyedropper. So you can see I can like select a color. So maybe I'll select this blue color like that. And now you can see it says copy to clipboard, and it's copied that hex code to the clipboard. So now I could paste that hex code somewhere else, like I could paste it in the Blender, and it would use that exact color. Now what if you have a large image with extra space and you just want to crop the image? Well, what you can do is press Shift C with an image selected. So hit Shift C, and now you can see that right up here in the corners we have these checkered lines. So I can just like drag this down here so we can just see the birds. And then when I click to drag it or press the Enter key, that's going to crop it. And then if you want to undo it, just press Shift C again, and you can now edit the crop. So I can just make it a bit bigger, and then you can either move it or just hit the Enter key. Now if you want to center any image and make it full screen, you can just double click the image. So if I just double click that image, now it's full. I can just double click this image. So if you have a specific image that you want to jump to, just double click on the image. Now the last useful feature that I like to use is to add text boxes by pressing Ctrl T, and pressing Ctrl T is going to add a text box wherever your mouse is. So I can now move around the text box, I can move it and scale it pretty much just like the other images in BeeRef, and then if I double click on it, I can rename it. So for example, I could type in mountains and then hit enter, and now what I could do is just move this text over here, and then I could drag the mountains right over here just to organize this, and drag these mountains over here. So it's just a nice way to organize the images. Then what I could do is make another group for the sky, so I could like drag these clouds and sky images over here, hit Ctrl T to add text, let's make it bigger, double click on it to rename it, and I could just call it clouds and sky. So this is a nice way to organize your references. So that is how to use BeeRef. It's a really useful free open source reference image program, and I use it all the time for organizing my reference images. And if you'd like to watch more of my Linux tutorials, then I have more Linux tutorials on this YouTube channel, and also on my main YouTube channel, ryankingart, I create Blender 3D tutorials. So you can check that all out with the link in the video description. So I hope you found this helpful, and thank you for watching.